Thanks for joining us. Today we're going to be sharing with you why we're building a debt-free home and more importantly, how we're going to do it.
We are Alex and Elena, a couple in our mid-20s working towards financial independence and self-sustainability.
Follow our journey as we grow, build, fix, and learn the skills we need to get us there. So about a year and a half ago, Alex and I went on a traditional home search. We have been living with Alex's mom for quite some time now, and it's time to find a place of our own. In this process, we learned that the homes in our area fall within two categories. They're either very old and need a lot of upgrades, or will need upgrades soon, or they are brand new homes in a subdivision that are going to cost you anywhere from $350,000 to $400,000, but you only get a quarter of an acre. This is not ideal for us because we're interested in having a little bit of land and a little bit of privacy as well.
Yeah, and another point on the renovation, I've grown up in the house that you've seen on this channel, which is 100 plus years old, and it is just a constant project list of renovations and upgrades. And honestly, it's not a well-performing house. It's a well-built house, but it's hot in the summer, it's cold in the winter, and it just needs a lot of extra maintenance as opposed to a house built with modern materials and modern practices.
Yeah, and then on top of that, the other thing that really turned us off from the traditional home search is the mortgage that's involved. So Alex and I don't necessarily have the desire to work a standard 9-to-5 job for the rest of our lives or be tied to it, but with a 30-year mortgage, you really do need that solid income so that you can make your monthly payments.
We forgot to mention that we did actually have this small 2-bed, 1-bath house under contract for $70,000 about a year and a half ago. And during the house inspection, a lot of termite damage was found. So we decided to pull out and it wasn't really worth it. In hindsight, I'm really glad we did because we probably wouldn't have even broken even on this and we would have been living in a very small, kind of crappy house for quite a while.
We did explore some alternatives before we decided to go this route. We had been listening to podcasts and reading a lot of Bigger Pockets articles, and we had looked at house hacking, which is, buying like a duplex, living in one side, renting out the other, or just acquiring rental properties just to try to earn a stream of passive income. But it all kind of led back to the same thing. Like, it was always going to be buying a not so hot property and probably doing a lot of work to it or spending a lot of money on it to get it where we wanted. And then also we didn't really want to be landlords. It's not as passive as it sounds, I would say. There is a lot of work that goes into it, and it's just not something we really wanted to get involved with.
That's where we came to the conclusion that our best option would be to buy land and build ourselves.
And by doing this, we can control the main two objectives that we have when it comes to finding our new home, which is cost and quality. This is accomplished by being our own general contractor. When you typically hire a general contractor to build you a new home on land that you own, you are essentially paying their salary for that year, not to mention every cost that they incur, they then mark up to you and hands you the final bill. So a house like we want that is built to the standard of quality that we want would probably cost us between $600,000 and $700,000, and in reality, you just couldn't resell for that.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're still out a lot of money if you go that route. Building science is something I've been really reading up on lately, and how to build a high-performance, energy-efficient home in the best way possible. A lot of it comes down to having a really airtight envelope. Some kind of old-school builders have this "a house needs to breathe" mentality. And that's really just not the case. It's not the most efficient way to do things. It's not reliable, and it's not really that effective. So we're going to be using building science at the forefront of our entire build, in the whole design, all the way through the point where we move in.
Yeah, so Alex has already looked up a couple of books that we're going to be reading. He's already started reading a couple of them. We have also been listening to a lot of different podcasts on house building and building science to start gaining that knowledge that we need to execute.
Right. The top two books I would recommend if you're thinking about doing this yourself. First is House Building by R.J. De Cristoforo. He basically goes into the pretty nitty-gritty details of exactly how a house is assembled, everything from foundation to framing to roofing, all the details there, all the subcontractor trades. And then the second one is the Owner Builder book by Mark Smith. This is a little more high level. It's not necessarily the details of assembling a house, but rather the details of being your own general contractor, how to find subs, how to properly vet them, how to set up your contracts, how to
manage the subs,
right,
that kind of thing.
And this guy that wrote this book, Mark Smith, had no formal construction experience prior to writing the book, and he was able to build himself like a $450,000 house for basically half off. And that's kind of what we're looking to do too.
A couple other resources I forgot to mention are YouTube, specifically Matt Reisinger and his sub-channel, The Build Show Network. They are really well done channels with a lot of focus on quality built homes and building science. Also, the Building Science podcast, which we listen to on our commutes. And finally, the International Residential Code, which establishes the minimum requirements for your residential build and ultimately is what the inspector is going to be judging you against. So definitely a good resource to have, and it's free online.
So you're probably watching this and wondering, how are two millennials that are in their mid-20s going to afford such a project? So a lot of people our age, their main source of debt is student loan debt. Alex and I had about $50,000 worth of student loan debt right out of college, but we made it a point to pay that off within that first year of graduating. Obviously, we had to make some sacrifices in doing this. For example, Alex lived at home. For me, I wasn't going out all the time. I wasn't eating out all the time, those kind of things. We saved that money and put it towards our student loan so that we could be debt free.
We both grew up in households that emphasized the importance of money management. I was raised in basically a single mom household since I was 5. We didn't have a lot of money to begin with, so that was just kind of by nature.
And then for me, my parents have always just been so great with saving. Have kind of taught me that if I want something, that I have to work hard to earn it and I have to pay for it myself. So I got in this mentality of saving my money and spending it for the things I really needed. And so thanks, Mom and Dad, because I really appreciate that. I thought I was frugal, but then when I met Alex, I learned that there's a whole nother level of frugal in a good way. He has taught me a lot about putting my money towards assets rather than liabilities. So rather than putting my money into just things for fun or whatever I want, I'm putting my money towards things that I need or will get me to the places I want to go. And so that has been a huge thing that I've learned from Alex.
And I guess to go in a little more about the budget of the house specifically, we currently have about $80,000 in cash saved up, and the house that we're designing, our full budget all out for the build phase, we want to spend no more than $200,000. And so what we've kind of done is looked at our spending retrospectively with Mint, so thanks Intuit for making that. And we've done a basic budget just to figure out what our savings percentage is of our take-home pay. And so we figured out that after our retirement savings, taxes, all that kind of stuff, we save about 70% of our take-home income. So with both of us being engineers, by the time we break ground in spring of 2022 on this house, we will have about $200,000 cash saved up, which is our budget for the house. Now, of course, we're going to be still working as we build the house, so we will have some leeway and we'll be earning money as we build the house. But that's just kind of our high-level budget as it is right now.
Yeah, and so the idea with that being is that once we have the house fully built, we have spent $200,000, but the asset is worth $400,000.
And honestly, a financial advisor would probably tell you you're crazy to do what we're doing and paying for a house in full up front. But the traditional model that is, take out a 30-year mortgage and, put your 10% away in savings or whatever, that makes a lot of assumptions. And even if we were to put a $200,000 lump sum in the market right now and do a 30-year mortgage on a $450,000 house, whatever, I've actually done some basic calculations and it kind of comes out in the wash. And then of course the whole time you have to be paying, your $2,000, $3,000 monthly mortgage. And that's just something that we don't really want to do. So we're going to be happy to pay for it all up front. Of course, it's not the path for everyone, but it's just how we're envisioning it.
Saving 70% of our take-home pay may sound like a lot, but for us it really doesn't feel like we're making many sacrifices. We live in a country environment, not in a city environment, and we save a lot of money by doing that. As well, we don't really have an interest in going out to eat or going out to bars or traveling, and so we save a lot of money on that front as well. We're confident that we can not only achieve our savings goals for this build, but also gain all of the knowledge that we need to successfully do it. Thanks again for joining us. Make sure to follow along with our future videos, which will be
the design and planning of the house. So all of the detailed design for everything from the foundation, framing, general floor plan, site plan, etc. And also how we're going to schedule and budget for all of our various subcontractors.
So stay tuned and thanks for watching. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to our channel.
Thanks.
Or they are brand new homes in a, what do you call them, a subdivision? I don't remember what the first sentence is. If you have any questions, leave a comment. Go away!
That bird. Hey!
That's a bird? That's a cicada.
Oh yeah, you're right. And doing this is...
We are confident that we can not only,
the importance... Oh shoot.
we both grew up. Don't say we, because
Yeah, we didn't grow up together.
I thought I was frugal. We feel confident that we can save. We feel confident that we can. We feel